All right, we are back for Roundtable Rams episode number 7. Me and my co-host Billie Melissa to talk all about Los Angeles Rams football. I am wearing a sweater because in sunny California it is not so sunny and it's been raining, and anything below 65 degrees is freezing to us.
Every time you complain about the weather, I'm
I
like, you don't know a thing.
I
You don't
know,
know a
I
thing.
know. And funny enough, like I'm going back to Ireland in May, and I that's the only place where it could be rainy, and I would love it. That's it
Yeah, I
though.
understand that. Sometimes there's the vibe, but that's because you don't live there. If you lived
Yeah,
there, you wouldn't be
true.
able to tolerate it.
Yeah, my sister lives in Portland, Oregon, and it's always raining there, and it's beautiful. One of the most beautiful cities and places I've ever been is Oregon, and it sucks because it rains 9 months out of the year. Anyway, moving right along to our coverage of the Rams and
To
stop talking.
sunny Rams.
Yeah. Sunny, maybe not so sunny Rams. So,
Not today.
yeah, there's a lot going on with the Rams, as we know. They are going to be competitive again, try to be competitive. They're going to try to get back to a deep playoff run. Super Bowl wise, they got Matthew Stafford back, but there are some clear issues on the roster, one of which is the secondary. We've talked about this for multiple weeks. We're going to continue talking about it up until through free agency and the draft. They gave up 276 yards per game, fourth worst in the NFL. Terrible for a potential Super Bowl roster. Roger McCreary was hurt. Akella Witherspoon was hurt. Quentin Lake was hurt. That secondary got really beat up. And it was very similar to 2024 when the offensive line was beat up. So,
hmm Speaks to the strength of the team, though, going that far with the secondary that's like that.
yeah, but I mean, when you have an offense that's led by an MVP quarterback, you can just outgun everybody for the
You
most part
can.
until you run into the Seahawks. So, considering that the Rams have the Seahawks twice a year now, the reigning Super
Yep.
Bowl champs, they have Brock Purdy and the 49ers, plus they always have a tough schedule. You have to fix the secondary. Roger McCreary and Akella Witherspoon and Darion Kendrick, who's their other corner, are all going to be potential free agents, pending free agents. So,
hmm
you have to make a decision. Do you bring those guys back? Who do you bring back? They were both hurt. You don't really know what you got there. But there's been a new trade proposal that's been proposed by an NFL insider. I believe it was Bill Barnwell, suggested that the Rams can go all in on a pretty solid cornerback. It was Bill Barnwell, Trent McDuffie. So he posted this, some trade proposals, blockbuster trade proposals he believed could happen, and he suggested that the Rams would send over a first round pick from McDuffie, and they would get a fifth round pick back. Um, yeah, he said, "quote Biggest weakness is cornerback, a position Snead has tried to address via trades for young stars in the past. The Rams sent second and fourth round picks to the Chiefs for Marcus Peters, and that." Though that didn't work out, Snead followed that up by sending two first round picks to Jaguars for Jalen Ramsey. That one did. Obviously, we know how good Jalen Ramsey is. He's one of the best cover corners. Maybe not so much now, but he was, especially in 2021. The Rams won the Super Bowl. Um, I don't know. I would say that they're still in this kind of win now scenario, especially
hmm
with how many years Stafford may or may not play. He's going to be playing 2026. We don't know beyond that. Trent McDuffie, two-time All-Pro, was All-Pro back-to-back seasons, 2023, 2024. But he had a bit of a down year in 2025. No All-Pro, no kind of award recognition. He had one interception, seven passes defended, one sack, 63 total tackles. But more concerning to me is, well, just in general, the guy gives up touchdowns. So he's
Mm.
given up 13 touchdowns in his first four seasons in the NFL. He gave up 63.3 completion percentage and 95.5 passer rating. That's not that great, to be honest.
I'm not sure about it. I see the appeal. He's young, could be a long-term plan. I think he's on like the last year of his rookie deal or something. Um, could he be the final piece to maybe just get them over the hump for the final Matthew Stafford ride if it ends up being that way and he does just end up one more season and he's done? I don't know. You've got two first round picks. Go there. Get yourself a good rookie. You've got enough talent that can mentor, but like we said, it is obviously a glaring point for them. Is he the best option on the trade market? Not sure.
I agree with that. My concern with that is if you use a first round pick for a Trent McDuffie, which he was all
Hmm.
pro 2 years ago because he had 3 sacks. Like he was. Let me look back at his stats there. Um, yeah, he had 2 touchdowns. He had 3 sacks. He had 80 total tackles, and then what was his interceptions? No interceptions, but he was named an All-Pro, but he still gave up 94.4 passer rating and 2 touchdowns. It's not really a cover corner, in my opinion, like a really strong cover corner, a shutdown corner like Jalen Ramsey is or was in 2021. But I don't know. I mean, the issue that I see with it here is you have number 13 overall, and then you got number 29 overall. So if you can get away with getting him for number 29 overall, sure, because that's a lower first round pick.
Yeah,
It's still a first round pick. But I think you can justify that. To get him for
the
number
13.
13, I don't
Mm.
see that because then you're passing over Mansour Delane, Jermod, you're passing him over, you're passing up young talent that you can then it's going to be way cheaper. And
Yeah.
also that can learn under a Quentin Lake, that can learn under a potential McCreary or with Witherspoon if they come back. And I think you can still go the cheaper free agent route as opposed to giving up a number 13 overall for Trent McDuffie.
That's my personal choice. If I had the money, I'm not really looking at Trent McDuffie personally if I'm in the Rams building, but I can see the attract, it's a I guess a low risk situation for the Rams. Like switching between AFC and NFC is not going to be an impact elsewhere. And the Chiefs were weak last year all round. It wasn't just a secondary thing. It was across the team. And, the last couple of years, 2023, obviously first team All Pro, second team All Pro in 2024. Was it just that rough season that accumulated a stat, made it looking bad than he, like making him looking worse than he is? I don't know. But like I said, I think, when you have two first round picks, I don't think you really need to make this decision right. That, if it really is secondary that you've got to figure out and that's where your focus is, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like the choice. I don't like the proposal personally, but I can see the attraction.
Yeah, I agree with that. Per PFF, which I like to reference a lot, he was ranked the number 11th out of 114. Coverage grade 17th. Again, not that great for a cover corner, in my opinion, if you're going to spend a first round pick on.
Yeah.
Let me look at. So his 2024 grades, he was 6th out of 117, and he was second best corner in 2024.
Yeah, maybe it
2023.
was just that. Maybe it was just the regime situation. There was a bad year for the Chiefs last year all round. Maybe
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
could come over to LA, go back to his great stats. Sometimes you do just see players go over to other teams, they just flourish better there. So maybe he's I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think it's a losing situation for the Rams. I think if they get him, he'll do the job.
Hmm.
I think, you can't get worse than you did last year. I mean, you can by 10, but
Yeah.
you know. But
Yeah.
personally, I'm looking to the draft and I'm going rookie cornerback and hoping that that does the job.
I agree. I think you have too high of a pick that if you really need to retool and rebuild your secondary, even you're thinking beyond Stafford
Yep.
playing, you're gonna want some young talent there, and you're gonna want to go and get somebody. Just to add to this, I know this is a little bit of a sidetrack here, but Daniel Jeremiah released his mock draft 2.0, and he actually has the Los Angeles Rams picking at number 13, Emmanuel McNeil Warren, the safety from Toledo. So he says the Rams have a good look at how CX deployed Nick Emanwari with great success in his rookie year. McNeil Warren offers LA its
So
own
good picture.
playmaking, rangy safety, boosting a pass defense that has struggled in recent years. He teams with Cameron Kitchens and Quentin Lake to create a nice safety trio. Um, sure, but again, I'm just more concerned because of that he's not really a cornerback. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know. But
What they
it,
got down at 29.
oh, that's a good question. I didn't even look at 29. So 29. Jeremiah has him picking a cornerback, Colton Hood, who's actually been kind of picked higher up. But if he drops to 29, yeah, I think that would be a huge, huge pickup. Colton Hood was one of the guys mocked to the Rams. They had them picking both of the Tennessee cornerbacks, Jermod, the
Yeah.
one that's hurt, and then Colton Hood. But Colton Hood
Mhm.
at number 29, I think makes a lot of sense. So they're going double secondary still from NFL draft expert opinions. I mean, that's one of the biggest aspects of what they have to retool in this
Yeah.
offseason. So I see it.
Personally, for me, I like the sound of safety cornerback and just keeping your first round draft picks. When you've got the team that you have around it and like you made yourself all the way to the NFC Championship, even with that secondary, I don't know. I personally am rebuilding my team and hoping that I can outlast Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it a little bit, secondary is a big need, offensive line as well. There's a lot of
Yep.
DJ Humphreys is going to be, and then Quisenberry are going to be free agents, and then you lost Rob Havenstein. But moving
Hmm.
right along, so we know that the Rams, as they did in 2021 with the whole F them picks thing, is that they gave everything up to get Jalen Ramsey and to get Von Miller, and they won the
Yep.
Super Bowl. I highly expect that Les Snead is going to do the same exact thing this year. He's going to kind of go big in free agency, possibly. But there's one player that's being connected to the Rams that I don't really agree with right now, and that's simply because they have already Puka Nakua and they got Devontae Adams. Granted, they have that younger talent that hasn't quite worked out yet, and
Yep.
nobody knows what the hell's going on with Tutu Atwell, but I don't foresee that he's going to be brought back.
Mm.
Anyway, people have been connecting the Rams to the recently released Tyreek Hill.
Don't
So
like it.
I don't like it either. Tyreek is going to be 32, and don't get me wrong, we know who Tyreek Hill is when he's healthy.
Yep.
Tyreek Hill is a monster on the field. He is just a game wrecker. You have to account for him no matter what. He would be unbelievable in this offense. The issue is
Do
he
you need him?
do you need him? He suffered a torn or dislocated ankle and a torn ACL. There's a doctor, sports doctor, that believes he may not even be back till later this season, if not until next season. So
Not worth it.
don't know. Nobody really quite knows what his health is. He did have a failed physical designation for the Dolphins when they did cut him because of everything going on with his ankle and
Mm.
his leg. Suffered a gruesome injury. You're 32. Coming back from an injury when you're that age is really tough to deal with,
Yeah.
especially when you're in your later years and in being in the NFL. That's not to say that he's not going to come back and be fantastic. I just don't think right now, if you're trying to win now, I don't think you take that risk.
No, I think it's a similar situation to Trent McDuffie in the sense of like, do you need him? Are there other things you can do? You've got a lot of draft capital. You don't really need to be taking him on, with the risk of him being injured, maybe re-aggravating the injury coming back early.
Hmm.
What do you want him there for? Just for hopefully to get you to the Super Bowl? Is that worth the price tag? Is it worth, when you've got, like we said, Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua, like, do you need him? I don't know. It's again, like we've said, it's nice to have, lovely to have, but is it a necessity? I don't personally think so.
I mean, you got to look at it this way. So Puka, 1,700 yards, Devontae Adams, 789, Colby Parkinson, 408. The next wide receiver, Xavier Smith, got 303. So you do need another receiver, in my opinion. You need somebody that can be there to open the game up a little bit more and not having to rely so much on Devontae Adams and Puka Nakua. But Puka is just that game changer too. Like you throw the ball up, Puka's probably going to catch it. Um,
But you got
but
all that draft capital.
Exactly. I don't, if the Rams are sitting there at number 13 and Makai Lemon, for instance, from USC drops in their lap, you take Makai Lemon because that's your
Yep.
guy. And then 29, you stay in the secondary department. But yeah, I just don't see that. I don't see the connection being, I understand the connection because again,
Yeah.
F them picks, but at the same time, like you don't know what Tyreek Hill is going to be like when he comes back. You know, I have full faith that he's going to still be a good player. I just don't know, especially with the sports doctor saying that. Is he coming back this season?
Yeah. And then if he isn't, why spending the money?
And especially if you're a win now, especially with potentially Matthew
Yeah, we know
Stafford.
that's what they're going for. Like if
Yeah.
they and but again, like we said, thinking about their team and who they're playing against, Seahawks creates a problem for the Seahawks defense to have that many th people to have a think about. So I can see the appeal, but for me, I think you just take a great receiver in the draft and have him underneath all the talent you already have.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, there's going to be a boatload of free agent talent to pick from that
Yep.
you don't need to go that route and go and spend a huge amount of cash to go and get a Tyreek Hill, especially when it's just you don't know what he's going to be when he comes back. You can go and get. a Hollywood Brown. You can go and get someone along those lines. I know
Yeah.
there's,
Did you see the thing about
yeah, I did see
Hollywood and the
that.
Purple Heart
We'll talk about that later
coming
because we'll talk about that later on
home?
our other pod. But I mean, yeah, I just think that Tyreek Hill to the Rams, while it would make sense if he was healthy, I don't think it makes sense right now.
No, not for me. Not in a team that doesn't really need him.
No, not at all.
He might
Um,
like it though. He might like the appeal of getting another ring.
I mean, he's probably going to want to go to a contender regardless of where he goes, but that just, again,
100%.
you just have to look at his health. That's the main thing here. Is he coming back? Talk to the doctors, yada, yada, yada. I mean, whoever signs him obviously will have that information, but I just don't see the Rams being that team that's going to be high up on getting to Tyreek Hill, especially because you already got Devontae Adams. You don't need older receivers. You need those younger guys to step up, but you need somebody that's hungry that's going to potentially replace those younger guys because they haven't really done much.
Yep,
You're leaning on the tight end. You're leaning on the tight ends a little too much and not so much on the wide receivers apart from Puka. And obviously Devontae Adams' injury plays a big factor too. You need somebody to come in and step up.
true. Not the Dolphins mug on the Rams podcast.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. That was just a coffee
Oh,
mug.
just some blue and orange.
Just some coffee mug. Yeah, I mean, moving right along, we got the secondary, you got the offensive line that we've talked about before. You got wide receiver Tyreek Hill. It's still not a huge need.
Nope.
Something they will need to address with younger talent, but not something that you go and throw all your picks out to go get or
Chips
whatever.
that.
Yeah,
Nope.
and then moving into the other, which I still feel they might not address this draft, is quarterback. We've already
I don't think
talked
so
about this.
either.
Yeah, we've already talked about this, but it's being that the attention is being brought back on it, and that's because he's being said to be going the top 15 picks, and that's Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson. Um, Lance Reddick went on and talked about this connection to the Rams and Ty Simpson, saying that the Rams like him. They like what he's about. They like what he offers. The full quote, let me find it real quick. He said, I know personally the Rams like Ty Simpson. His skill set and makeup is exactly what they're looking for. The issue that a lot of people are running into is Simpson has only had one full starting season at Alabama. The first 3 years he was there, he was a backup. So
Yeah,
you have limited knowledge of what he can truly be. That is not to say that he's not a starting caliber quarterback. That's not to say that he couldn't be a franchise option. Is he a franchise option right now? People don't know. I don't know. He in his only starting season. So he redshirted in 2022. Then he was a freshman in 2023, sophomore, and then so his junior year, 3,567 passing yards, 28 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Really good.
yeah, good
Com-
stats, but one season.
yeah. He led the conference with 305 completions and 473 attempts. So the guy can sling the ball. He's got great athleticism. He's got a pretty good arm, but you run the risk of this guy potentially not being NFL ready.
No, I have opposing views on it. The first one is sure, bring him in under Matthew Stafford, let him be mentored up. You get then know that you're getting some kind of like solid talent the next year, and you're not having to if Matthew Stafford decides to retire after next season. You have someone ready to go in. You're not just bringing in a rookie quarterback and expecting them to kind of step into the shoes. But on the other hand, I'm like, you need a safety, you need a cornerback if you want to go to the Super Bowl. And I think that that's really where you should be spending your draft picks personally.
Yeah, definitely. Again, I think the biggest issue with taking Ty Simpson at number 13 overall, apart from what you just said, like you have those bigger needs right now. You got Matthew Stafford for another year. You got Jimmy Garoppolo right there that you could re-sign in the event that something does happen to Stafford, and you hold out. Maybe this is crazy. Maybe you trade down from number 29 and you stack
Yeah.
another first round pick like you did with the Falcons trade in 2025. You do the same thing this year. You pick that blue chip player at number 13, whether it's the safety, cornerback, whatever. You trade out at 29. You go back high into the second round. You have that first round pick additionally in 2027. And then you go after someone like a Dante Moore. You go after someone like a Arch Manning. You go after someone, one of the more bigger prospects that are supposed to be coming out that year. And then also too, you see where Matthew Stafford is at because we don't know that he's not going to be playing past 2026. That's just the
Hmm.
assumption because he was close to retiring, has been close to retiring, but there's no guarantee that he's not going to want to play one more year. And so if that's the
Yeah.
case, you get another year out of him. And I mean, even then, even if you get Matthew Stafford back for 2027, you go for one of those guys and then they get mentored by Matthew Stafford that entire season.
Yeah. I mean, again, I don't know. I just think because it would be likely that it would be around number 13, I just don't know that that's the decision you make. And he might not even get that far. I think he's also been connected to the Jets, which they're at number 2, and so he's off the board anyway. Is it something they're probably considering? Like, definitely. I'm sure they're having conversations about what life in Los Angeles looks like post Stafford. Is he a good, do they see enough potential in him to bring him in and just have him under Stafford? And again, like he said, Stafford surprised everyone saying he was even coming back next year. I think he surprised McVay and everyone. I don't think anyone knew that that was happening. And he might just do it again next season. So like you said, I see that. I see the appeal of having him around for 2 years and then again stacking with another quarterback in the 2027 thing. But I just don't see why you would do that personally
Yeah,
when you
I
need the secondary stacked out.
Yeah, I mean, exactly like you said already multiple times. They're still in win now, and I don't think picking a quarterback like Ty Simpson at number 13 is that win now mentality at
No.
all. I don't think
No, but that's building for the future when you already know you have a good team, which is what
right.
we have said multiple times in past weeks is the Rams are just in one of the best off-season positions. And they can't afford to have all of these eventualities go running through their brains because they're not really that. I mean, they're concerned because of course it was one game away, but when you already know you've got most of the pieces that you need, you really have to narrow down on what exactly do we need right now. And I just don't think it's Ty Simpson.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think you stand pat, and I think you just take your time a little bit, and you wait because you
Yeah.
can. You wait because you
Mhm.
can. You don't pull the trigger. And we know Les Snead is not gonna. He's a great talent evaluator. And I mean, maybe there's a situation where they go and pick like a Mansour Delane at number 13, and then maybe Ty Simpson falls to number 29. In which
Yeah.
case, sure,
Why not?
why not?
Why not?
Yeah, take Ty Simpson, let him learn under Stafford, and you at least addressed a bigger need, and then that developmental player, and then you still have your other draft picks to work with. So
Yeah. And I mean, we've seen it in the past where these players fall out of the first round entirely because it's just not what people need right now. And so there's always a possibility that they could see that and then yeah, trade up in the second round or whatever.
absolutely, yeah, exactly. You know.
Nice to have, but don't I think that's just the theme of this whole episode. It's nice to have. Do you need him? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, and again, you look at the Rams have set themselves up perfectly with their cap space and their draft
Yep.
capital that I
Yep.
think you look more towards rounding out the team for that life past Matthew Stafford, but not in the quarterback department just yet. I think you can hold off at least one more season.
Sure. And then you can look at who's out around the league, maybe taking a quarterback from another team.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you're gonna need a backup if you don't re-sign Jimmy Garoppolo. Maybe you go and find somebody that's a little bit younger. Maybe they
Tua's
go.
waiting. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
He's
I
not good. I think they're good over.
no,
No, but we
no.
said we've been nice to Tua.
I like
Maybe.
Tua. Like I said, I like Tua. I completely was a big fan of Tua when he came out. I was happy when the Dolphins drafted him. I watched his career with great pride. And then, now he just had a tough year. I firmly believe he will bounce back. I do not believe that's going to be with the Rams.
I think the Rams are good there. I think they've got
Yeah,
other people
definitely.
on the roster before they get there.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, cornerback, offensive line, quarterback, all of this is to go on that deep playoff run. All of this is to now combat the fact that the Super Bowl runs through Seattle.
It does, it does.
It
You
does.
gotta build to prepare against that defense, is my
Right,
personal
100%,
opinion.
100%. You have to find a way to combat that team specifically, even if they do have that Super Bowl slump, Super Bowl hangover. You still
Yep.
have to assume that they're going to be competitive. That said, um, Los Angeles Rams star defender, Mr. Jared Verse, was on a
Yeah.
podcast and he offered some very, very honest thoughts about what occurred in the NFC Championship game. Honestly, it did sound a little like he was kind of throwing the defense under the bus, but
Mm. It's a very
mm,
odd comment.
it was. But I understand with what he said. First and foremost, he's Rams through and through. I was really laughing at what he said. So he's like, when he's talking about the Seahawks, they're a divisional rival, all that good stuff. But I genuinely don't like them. I got like a disdain in my heart for them. Like I hate them. I don't like the Seahawks at all. There's nothing I like about them. I don't like their players. There's nobody like I like about their staff. I don't like them. And then he made the very funny comment that um, if he saw his mom wearing Seahawks colors, that would be his op for the day, as the kids say. And I started laughing.
Good, keeping those rivalries alive. That
Got
I
to.
don't like it when I see them like shaking each other's hands before the game and tweeting at each other. I don't like it. You're not supposed to like that guy. That guy is in between you and the Super Bowl. You're not supposed. I like that attitude. I like that he's bringing back that old school
I agree.
mentality.
I mean, it's a division rival, so your division rival more than anybody should be that team that you're like, man, nah, screw those people, because that you're gonna see them twice a year, and
Yeah.
especially because that team took you out, like you have to
Hmm.
have that kind of fire about them. But more so, even more important than obviously him being a Rams player through and through, is what he said about the defense and what occurred in the NFC Championship game, which I thought again was very honest, but it
Yeah.
was a little like he was throwing the defense on the bus. But what he said was, I think it's just me being completely blatantly honest. I think it was a young mindset. We all hyped up all week. We were like, yeah, we're going to beat them. We know what we learned last time. Then we started having trouble early on. They throw a big play. Everybody's kind of like, you know, crapping the bed, like, oh, what do we do now? This isn't going the way we thought this was going to go. They're not laying down.
Hmm.
Um, then he goes on to say, when we started having trouble, we didn't know what to do. Some of us on the defense, we take full blame. He was saying that there was a couple times where they were running the opposite way, and he just couldn't chase them because he's not that kind of fast player.
Yeah.
And he just said we kind of like mentally shut down. Now, again, this does sound like he's throwing the defense under the bus a little bit, but I also think that there's a lot of self awareness in what he's saying. There is a lot of young talent on that defense. Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, Kobe Turner. There's a lot of guys that are very young, but this is a learning opportunity for them for
Yeah.
sure.
I think so. I mean, when I read it, I was like, that's an inside thought. We keep that to ourselves. That is something that your opponents can definitely exploit against you. And admitting that like you physically can't catch up or run and you can't keep up with that team is I just think that that's something that you keep inside. But I like the humility in it. I like the recognition of knowing that you quite frankly in that game just didn't have what it takes.
Hmm.
And now maybe they know what it takes. Maybe they know now he knows how to adjust and prepare for the next season. He knows what he's got to do. He's got to be maybe lose some weight, run a bit quicker, like slim down. Teams have had to do that in the past. Adjust to their opponents. So I like the humility, but it was definitely one of those things where I was like, "That's just write that in your journal and then go to sleep."
Yeah, I mean, again, yeah, he has a point. I mean, this defense is incredibly young.
Yeah,
Puna Ford's like 30, and he's one of the oldest leaders on the team. I forgot to mention Byron Young, and then yeah, Nate Landman, 27 years old. Like everybody's like pretty young, so there's a lot of knowledge and wisdom in what he's saying in the sense that like they're all young and they're going to learn.
yeah,
And but also it points to how good the Seahawks are. We
yeah.
knew that this was going to be a tough matchup no matter what, simply because, as he said, the Seahawks are not a team that lies down. Even when they're behind, they're not going to sit there and go, oh, okay, like we're beaten, and they don't let the mental game affect
That's why
them.
I was so shocked by it though, because I was like, "What do you mean you think you're coming up against the best defense in the league and walking away with the game? What? Why did you even think that?" Like,
I mean, look, that's confidence. That's confidence. That's maybe it's a little
yeah, but
delusion, but it's
you
confidence.
say that in the press, and then at home you're doing the work. Whereas it seemed like he believed. I just think I was really baffled by it, and I know that I think that the article was attached to this suggestion that they should bring in some veteran to kind of whip them into shape. But I'm like, you've recognized that in yourself. Become that leader.
Yeah.
You're the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year. You're a two-time Pro Bowl player. Like, become the leader.
Hmm.
Seek that mentorship from veterans around the league who would happily do that for you, veterans from the Rams. Find out what it takes to become the voice in the room and be that. Like, don't sit back and be like, this is now someone else's issue. You've
Mm.
recognized it. Unfortunately, it's now your problem.
Yeah, no, that's hitting the nail on the head. That's definitely it right there. Like you want to be, you, you realize what led to you guys being beat. So how do you
Yeah.
fix it? How do you move forward from that? I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't believe that they need this like veteran voice to be like the glue of the defense, but at
No.
the same time, there's been a lot of rumblings of Aaron Donald potentially getting into coaching. So maybe that's a situation where McVay reaches out to him and goes, "Hey, I need you to come in and mentor these guys, on the defense or whatever." Because Aaron Donald was a no nonsense defender and was the glue for the Rams. So obviously he's gone now, and he's shown up at the facility, training camp, and all that good stuff. But maybe he can be around a little bit more. I don't know. I'm just saying, throwing that out there. But regardless of that, you don't necessarily need an Aaron Donald to come in and talk to everybody. You should be there
Yeah.
doing it yourself, putting in the work. But you lose your chance at the Super Bowl. That's going to be a pretty bad taste in your mouth that you want to recover from, and you figure out ways to bounce back.
That's enough of a motivation. That's all you need. Is this entire off season you focus on, you look at some motivational speeches, you learn how to be a better talker, you learn how to keep that mental, really, really keep that saying about it, he hates the Seahawks. Don't think you can beat them. Think just the worst thing possible, and you've got no chance. And you want to be that guy that kind of topples them off their tower. Like really use that. He's got all of that inside of him. I think he just needs to figure out how to like utilize that and then spread. Because sometimes you do just need that singular voice in the defense. I think that is the thing when you just have everyone who's on a same level. You need that guy who you can turn to and be like, all right, we're down 20 points at the half. How are we coming back from this? It's going to be up
Mhm.
to us because now this team can't score any more points than us. We have to go out there and help out our offense. And you need a guy who can just rally and give that speech and give those affirmations. So there you go, Jared Verse. You've given yourself a little off-season task to do, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, gave there's some homework for you in the defense, glue together, find a way to
Stick Ray Lewis motivational speeches on and take that into the locker room.
exactly. I mean, again, we can point to the secondary. Maybe there was a big issue there that's why they didn't know what they were doing because they couldn't
Whip them into
catch.
shape. Say, guys, stop messing around back there. We need you. You're the ones who are going to do it.
Yep, exactly. I mean, there you go. There's the homework for the Rams defense. No nonsense. You got one more year with Matthew Stafford potentially. Time to stop. He's not blaming. He's putting the blame on himself.
Yeah,
But cut the crap and then get to work.
exactly. I think you just that at some point well, he's recognized it now. Who does he want to come in and correct that? What's he
Exactly.
going to do about it? He's had some time to reflect.
Yep.
What's next?
What's next? Thank you, everybody, for listening. This has been Roundtable Rams, episode number 7. Thank you, Billy, for joining me once again. We are inching closer to free agency. We will be back next week to talk about probably more mock draft stuff, more free agency fits. We don't know if and when anything can happen. I believe March 9th is when the league year you can do tampering.
Yeah.
I believe
And
it's
then it's
March.
11th,
And then the 11th
the official.
is the official start of the league year. So let me see. Let me double check that.
Get the facts straight.
Yes. So March 3rd, franchise and transition players is when the deadline for those franchise tags to go out. And then also tampering and talks can start. And then the 11th is when the league year officially begins.
Yep. It's
And
approaching.
it's approaching. And yeah, we'll be back with more of that stuff, more of a plan for what the Rams potentially could do or couldn't do in free agency, and then go right into some draft coverage. But we will be back next week.